नाम संजय जैन है। मैं ELANPRO कंपनी का डायरेक्टर हूँ। ये कंपनी हमने 16 साल पहले 2009 में स्थापित की थी। हम ऑल इंडिया में ऑपरेट करते हैं। हम शायद इंडिया की चुनी हुई कंपनियों में से हैं जो केवल रेफ्रिजरेशन प्रोडक्ट्स पे फोकस करते हैं। हमारा 3 सेगमेंट को हम केटर करते हैं। हॉस्पिटैलिटी सेगमेंट, जिसमें हम सारे इंडिया के लीडिंग होटल्स, रेस्टोरेंट्स के साथ काम करते हैं। दूसरा है हम रिटेल सेक्टर को काम करते हैं, जिसमें हम बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां जैसे पेप्सी है, अमूल है, उनको अपने उत्पादक बाज़ार में लगाने के लिए देते हैं। और तीसरा हम हॉस्पिटल्स एंड रिसर्च लैब्स के साथ काम करते हैं। हमारा ऑल इंडिया में ऑफिस है, हमारी टीम है और 700 से ज़्यादा हमारे डीलर नेटवर्क हैं। 300 से ज़्यादा हमारे पास सर्विस की टीम मेंबर्स हैं, जिससे कि हम कस्टमर्स को तुरंत सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हैं। इसके अलावा हमारा कंपनी का जो नाम है वो उच्च क्वालिटी के लिए और इनोवेशन के लिए जाना जाता है। आज हम जितनी भी दुनिया की बड़ी कंपनियां इंडिया में ऑपरेट कर रही हैं, हम उन सबके साथ में ही मिल के काम करते हैं और बहुत सारे हम इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट डेवलप करते हैं जो इंडिया के लिए ही ज़रूरत है। और भारत में हमारा अपना एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप है जो बड़ौदा में आ रहा है, जिसमें हम काफ़ी सारे प्रोडक्ट बनाने वाले हैं। थैंक यू।
I'm Pawan Agrawal. I was formerly CEO of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and currently I'm the CEO of Food Future Foundation. I'm very happy to attend this seminar organized by the Hospitality Consultants Forum and associations of hotels and restaurants in Karnataka and Bangalore. This is a wonderful initiative to create a culture of food safety in the hotel and restaurant sector in the country. This brings together the issues not only of food safety but also sustainability, which is becoming very critical. And what I impressed upon the hoteliers is that they should also focus on healthy menu in their restaurants so that general people are more comfortable in eating out, because there is a little bit of guilt when people eat out. They say that बाहर का खाना खा रहे हैं वो शायद unhealthy होगा. So I think if the industry decides that they will focus on not only food safety, which in some sense becomes a regulatory requirement, but also have healthy options on their menu, focus on sustainability, and if this is done on a continuing basis, a hospitality sector has a long way to go. It will really attract a lot of traction and attention from the consumers. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vasundhara, an assistant marketing manager at ELANPRO. ELANPRO is a leading commercial refrigeration company. We have collaborated with Hospitality Consultant Forum, a nationwide seminar to talk about food safety, compliance, and the future of food. We are really concerned about the factors that affect food safety and the business and the food business. That's why we have collaborated with Hospitality Consultant Forum. We have skilled panelists to make future-ready leaders and talk about and make them aware of the food industry. That's why the seminar will be in other cities too, and we will keep you updated. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Saksham. This event is all about the food security process and food control process. So it's a great event. We welcome all of you for this event. We thank you very much for being a part of this event. And all the best from ELANPRO team. Okay, it's all about safety, sustainability, and control of the food. So it's completely food related industry. All the hoteliers, fabricators, and consultants. It's a very useful program where you get a complete insight about the food process and complete how do we handle the food stuff is something. It's all about the program. Is all about that. Thank you very much.
He supports businesses with food and hospitality consulting, menu planning,
making compliance, safety, sustainability and global best practices as a culture in the industry rather than making it something that's thrust upon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we should remain thankful to her top 7 products, and she has a final round in Bombay day after tomorrow, but in spite of that, she has graciously come. We are extremely thankful.
by an outside body. At some point of time, we will also be rolling out opportunities for
everyone. Actually, it's a real pleasure for me to be here, and I thank Shravanji and this initiative for giving me a chance to be amidst you all. And the subject, safety, sustainability and compliance, is something very dear to my brand, NectarFresh. So I think today, without a presentation, I did tell Shravanji, I would like to speak from my heart of my journey and where the brand is actually today. This is my 19th year running a rural social enterprise, and today I am known as one of those very few who have sustained and scaled up social enterprises to a profitable model. Well, how could I do it? I'm a resource person for APO Japan. I'm a first generation rural social entrepreneur who set up this enterprise at the lowest phase of my life. I just wanted to be independent as well as work towards tribal and rural empowerment. Why I thought I would like to share my journey in the few minutes is because all three aspects has been addressed, and today what NectarFresh is thanks to the hospitality sector. And that is when IFCA honored me, remembering Chef Soundarajan. He was the one who literally was responsible for than a farm gate processing unit, as we have already 40 products in our basket and add on furthermore. I think this is where it truly helped us, and as we see about safety, how vital it is, and if a small Khadi and village industries commissions unit like ours could become the first and get it completed. And when it would be here, I was telling that there should be a lot of changes that has to be inculcated. Even with our R&D institutes, there's a big gap between the industry and what is required. The technology transfer, I've been trying so hard for 8 years for sugar-free jams. Well, Bharat doesn't have a technology for sugar-free jam. Maybe day after, I put forth it again to or Mafpi. Or I would want to convey this to Pavanji because it would really help those. The gap where our FSSA has is that I do respect the regulation. Every batch with 30,000, is it affordable? Are we prepared for this? Naturally, they take 3 months for a lab test. Which buyer will wait for 3 months for the same? I think somewhere this gap has to be truly where the R&D institutes. Maybe some suggestions to this has to come by, and everyone should be able to capitalize it, that every batches are really looked into it, that is properly tested. It can be done only when the cost is feasible. Water test of our FSSAI costs 12,000. The real issues that is being faced by a manufacturer, and if they have to sustain and adhere to all the and cottage industries so that they also adhere to all the required standards so that they get market access. They can scale up. They didn't always be dependent on funds. Today, my own journey, I can tell you, maybe around 4 or 5 years back, I received for the past 18 years. Well, I said it could be. I was not fortunate to be supported with this funds, but many a times I have taken even a 500 kg capacity facility. Today I have. All I can say that if I can do it, anybody can, and support should come from all of them associated with this, especially to enterprises like us who are walking the talk. There could be hundreds of such organizations who are doing phenomenal good. Social ethical audit. I would say that when many say,
at the doorstep of the food businesses, but
Honey, there is nothing like that. So lot of concerns. Food handlers now know that these 8 conditions are to be met. This is unique. Nowhere in the world you will see that. And I believe अब वो mandatory भी हो गया है. वो तो requirement है. तो I see it on railway stations, I see it on airports and all food eateries and all that. And while initially it was done as a matter of compliance, now people are trying to make use of it. So food safety display boards have become something that are useful. They are nudging handlers, even customers कि ये business में ये सब maintain हो रहा है. एक comfort आ रहा है उनका.
That you have built a reputation, not in one day, over 19 years, that people trust you. So I think testing and all is required only because people don't trust. If they are businesses, food businesses like Madam Chaya's business, I don't think you require FSSAI at all, because food businesses will be responsible. They do their things that are required to be done in the interest of the consumer. FSSAI acts on behalf of the consumers to ensure something that everyone cannot be Chaya. So that is why we are here. So I think these concerns, the concerns of food safety, capacity of FSSAI, testing infrastructure, they will handle it, and with the help of all of you, and we'll have a much better food safety ecosystem today. So here we are going to talk about hospitality sector per se. So in the hospitality sector, this is a sector which is very critical from a food safety and hygiene point of view, because in packaged food, lot of food safety issues will be there at the time of manufacturing, processing, etc. And once it is properly packed, and in most cases somewhat rightly stored and transported, any issues around packaged food, there are other issues with packaged food, that is not healthy, ultra processed, etc. But most of the reports that you hear about food safety concerns are relating to hygiene issues in the hospitality sector, in the restaurants. Food safety incidents that were reported in the media that completely in some sense eroded when some well-known restaurants and hotels, these concerns really augur well for the hospitality sector. And I think in the context of these developments, writing on issues of food, nutrition, food systems in the media, and I remember that time I wrote an article that how do we create a food safety culture in the country going beyond a fairly accepted term globally. So there is a definition to it. So it's not a loosely word, it is that food safety culture is that you maintain hygiene and safety even though no inspector is looking at you. Consistency, discipline is at the heart of food safety. I think you are from Hospitality Consultants Forum?
She's from the university.
From the university, excellent. So उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छे से explain किया. So I think there is absolutely no way a few thousand inspectors can do inspection of animal-based food. For all other food, it is US FDA. And so 80% of the food comes within the purview of US FDA. And USDA has 4 times more staff than US FDA. So why? So because obviously there are more concerns of food safety in animal foods. Do not know how to exactly do it. So we instituted what is called as food safety training and certification system. FOSTEC, I'm sure most of you are aware of what FOSTEC is. When we started it in 2016, so आज की date में we have trained about 2.5 million food safety supervisors. And our
Sustainable practices in the F&B industry.
Karnataka State Food Association as President of Karnataka State Food Association. Also I am an hotel. What is required? One thing, now we restaurateurs are hoteliers, especially restaurateurs. This Food Safety Act, simultaneously I don't know whether you are aware of it or not. Order partially favorable. The government has to discuss with to implement such a rules and regulation in the coming days. It may help. Because the thing is the FSSA rule is not so easy to adopt because the way
Mr. Arvind Gopal, founder of MJ Consulting Private Limited. Mr. Arvind Gopal is a hospitality professional and consultant with qualifications in
Morning friends, dignitaries. Thank you for having
Global standards. Then well, anything is possible if we really get.
This is the state of technology today. Honey per se is very difficult to be tested. So it's not. So there are no technologies. The parameters across food groups and food categories. In fact, India is uniquely placed that we have, at my time, they were about 8. We did a few things apart from a few things that pre-existed before I joined. I served as CEO of FSSAI from 2006. Even though there are food regulators across the world who do that USDA, in US, the food safety is addressed by maybe 2,000 people in the state governments. So it was absolutely not possible to do it. So we said that all right, we'll have to build capacities of the food businesses. Because a good food business, or any food business, no food business would like to eat their food and their customers falling ill. No one will like, no sensible business will want them to do that. Otherwise they will not be repeat customers, as simple as that. And they don't do it out of charity. They do it because they are in business. ऊपर नीचे तो होगा, कहीं पर कुछ फायदा होता होगा, कहीं ऐसे ही सर्टिफिकेट लेकर चले जाते होंगे, but कुछ तो फायदा हो रहा है. At least an ecosystem has been created. The quality of that will improve with passage of time, and there have been successful, continuous efforts to improve the quality of that. We also introduced something unique.
So apart from being the promoter of MJ Consulting, I'm also privileged to be a part of the Hospitality Consultants Forum, and I'm going to briefly just explain to you about it.
Biggest hotels across the country, and Bharani and the entire team, as they are constantly speaking to me, what I would want to say is, I tell even to the right people.
Everyone is very excited that she has become so big, but you look at her journey, that she must have done the same thing over and over again. And how many times, she must have personally checked.
Food contamination could be for many reasons. I'll talk about what is relevant in our context. If a product is not maintained at a perfect temperature, for example, there is a myth, anything which is kept inside a freezer can have a long life. It is incorrect. So there is something called a safe temperature zone, and there is something called when you have a bacteria formation. So if your product is not kept away, so if it is between 5 to 60 degree, the chances of bacterial growth is maximum. So if you have to have a long-term storage, you need to pull it down faster. So that is one reason. The other is how you keep your product inside, whether it is covered, not covered, whether you are mixing your product, say for example you are keeping non-veg food or a meat with a milk product, it may be in the same refrigerator. So there could be chances of contamination. Then you can have your vegetables, greeny leaf and all. Or if you have a product where you have a lot of moisture inside. So those could be the reason. So when you are storing food in a refrigerator, you need to ensure that they are safely packed and there is a shelf life for everything. So there are certain products which can be maintained at 4 degrees for certain time. There are certain products which can be maintained at -20 for maybe 6 months. So it is not that anything you just put inside a refrigerator can have endless life, which is a myth. So those are the reasons which I'll relate to refrigeration. Balance contamination is a very, very big subject in food.
What is the duration timeline?
Eat every single product. That is what makes refrigeration very difficult and a different subject. Milk can be stored for certain period. Your jam and jelly or your sauces or your processed food can be maintained for a longer. So there are two things. One is the food in itself. The other is how you have processed it. If you have processed it where you have maintained the temperature at -20 or lower and then kept it, it can have a longer shelf life. But if you just take a fresh food and put it in a freezer and expect that it will have a longer shelf life, no, it will not have a longer shelf life. So it's a complete food science which one has to look at, and that's how it has to be maintained. Refrigeration company, we focus on 3 segments or sectors. We take care of the hospitality segment, we work with the retail, and we also work with the medical life science departments. We've been in India for 16 years, and we work with all the leading brands, whether it is hotel industry or QSR chain or the retail chain across India. We have our setup. We are catering to all the 850 districts which are there around of that across the country. So we provide all sales and service support to each one of them. ELANPRO stands out for 2 reasons. One is we believe in quality. So I'll not say that others don't give quality, but we believe that quality has to be top-notch, because when we are talking about food, we're talking about compliance, we are talking about safety. Because unlike air conditioning, where it is more about comfort, food is more about your safety and quality. So here the temperature management has to be perfect. So we have all our equipment designed in a way that they are capable to work in the Indian condition, and they maintain right temperature, and also they are the lowest in power consumption, because that's another thing which is very critical, because all of our refrigeration equipments are never shut off. They work 24/7, 365 days. So energy consumption becomes a very major role. So that's how ELANPRO is very different. The other thing is we believe in innovation. So we are always introducing products which are ahead of time. So for example, on the refrigeration, we have introduced products which work on inverter technology. We have even simple things like chest freezer which have dual condenser, because now you must be realizing that every year the ambient conditions are changing. It's becoming hotter day by day. So you need to have product which can work efficiently even at 45 degree, 47 degree. So these are the critical things which keeps us apart from the industry.